my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Sunday video where I look at the hottest Golden Age comics for the week, and let's get right into it. The first on the list is Mary Marvel Comics number 11. This is from Fawcett, 1947. It's a Jack Binder cover, and it's a cool cover. It's like got fire, it's got lightning, it's got Mary Marvel, a bunch of other female characters on the cover. Just a really cool Mary Marvel cover. This is one of those titles that has a good mixture of good girl and superhero. So it's just a classic title. This was a 5.5 that sold, and it sold for $550. This is actually the only sale in grade, so it's a record. Woohoo! But it seems to be like kind of what you would expect it to sell for, because there was a 6.5 that sold back in October of 2023 for $780. So that kind of puts this in line with what you would expect it to sell for. So a strong sale. There are 19 of these on the census, and 19 are Universal Blue Labels. Number 9 on the list is Shock Suspense Stories number 7. This is from EC Comics, 1953. It's an Al Felstein cover, and it's a classic electrocution cover. Of the horrific kind of covers in the Golden Age, this is not quite at the top echelon, but it is pretty horrific. The guy's face is literally melting from the electric shock. So pretty gruesome cover. So it is considered a classic cover, but maybe it's not as big as some of like the Tomb of Terror or the Black Hat Mystery, but it is still a classic cover. This was a 4.5 that sold, and it sold for $475, which is way down actually. This book had a record back in September of 2022, at peak COVID, for $625. So this is fairly off that, but this book had been sort of off that for a while. The last sale before this was in January of this year for $384. So it's kind of recovering from having dropped quite significantly. Not quite sure why it was down so much, but probably because it does have a fairly high census for the Golden Age. There's 170 of these on the census, and 160 are Universal Blue Labels. Number 9 on the list is Blue Beetle number 3. This is from Fox Featured Syndicate, 1940. It's a Joe Simon cover, and it's a cool one. You got Blue Beetle. He's like on top of a car filled with gangsters who are using the machine guns. It's a pretty wild cover, actually. This was a 3.5 that sold, and it sold for $775, which is way up. This book, its previous record was set back in February of 2024 for $480. So it's up quite significantly from that prior record. And that prior record was kind of where it had been for a long time, around $300 to $400 for the longest time. And now it's a $700 to $800 book. So pretty strong sale. There are 35 of these on the census, and 29 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 7 on the list is Baffling Mysteries number 16. This is from Ace Periodicals, 1953. It's a Joe McLaughlin cover, and it's another kind of cool classic trope with pre-code horror, where you got some artist painting something, like maybe some scary scene, and the person that they're painting is looking at and like, oh, that'll never happen, and then of course it's about to happen to them. So just a classic cover that way. This was an 8.5 that sold, and it sold for $900. The previous record for this book was set a long time ago, back in 2007, where 8.5 sold for $155. So times have changed. It's gone up like 7 times from that prior record. Now, this is kind of in line with where these books have been selling, actually. Maybe a little high, actually maybe a lot high. because there was a 6.5 that sold in March of 2024 for $282. Now, if you do the price per point, you would expect an 8.5 to sell for around $300 to $400 range, maybe low fours. So this went for about twice what you would expect it to sell for. So this was a pretty high sale. But it is a cool book. I mean, classic horror trope on the cover. There are 22 of these on the census, and 22 are Universal Blue Labels. Number 6 on the list is Planet Comics 58. This is from Fiction House, 1949. It's a Joe Doolin cover, and this is a classic cover. This cover has been homaged many times, most recently by Dan Parent did an homage to it, but probably most notably, Dave Stevens did an homage to this in Planet Comics #1, the modern version of it. And it's just a classic cover. You got good girl, sci-fi, a beautiful mix of the two. This was a 5.5 that sold, and it sold for $960, which was a pretty good buy, I would say. The original listing price on this book was $1,200, but it was a best offer that somebody gave, and they accepted at $960. The previous record for this book was set back in July of 2022 for $999. So this basically just confirms the price, that really high $900 price, sub 1,000, close to the 1,000, but not quite, but still a strong sale. There are 120 of these on the census, and 115 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 5 on the list is Leading Comics #1. This is from DC Comics, 1941. It features a whole bunch of keys. This is a key book. It features the second appearance of both Green Arrow and Speedy. And it's actually their first cover appearance for both characters. And it's the first cover appearance of the Vigilante. And it's also the first appearance of the Seven Soldiers. So many keys related to this one book. So pretty major book for the Golden Age. This was a 1.5 that sold, and it sold for $899. Now this is way down, actually. The previous record for this book was set back in March of 2021 for $1,395. But this book has been sort of on a downtrend from that era as well, similar to the previous book that I mentioned, because there was a 4.0 that just sold in June of 2025 for $1,680. So this would be kind of right in line with what you would expect a 1.5 to sell for. And there was actually a 5.5 that sold for the same amount in March of 2025. So 1680 and for 4.0 or 4.55. So this book has been kind of sort of in that range, like where, you know, it's a roughly like $800 a point or 500. What would be the math on that? It would be like $500 a point, or $400 a point. So this one's actually a little bit higher than what books the same books have been selling for. A little bit higher, but not much. There's always a little bit of price compression at the lower grades. But yeah, just a weird one. Not like I think though, this one was interesting for another reason. It was a best offer, and the original price that was listed at was $12.50. And the reason I think they accepted the offer was it has brittle pages, and the CGC case that was in was cracked. So generally, I think a lot of dealers will give you a bit of a discount if you're buying a cracked case. So probably that it could have sold for more, but I think this was still even compared to where this book has been, maybe a low sale, but compared to where it is now, it was a strong sale. There are 67 of these on the census, and 51 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 4 on the list is Fantastic Comics number 6. This is from Fox Features Syndicate, 1940. Joe Simon did the cover, and it's a cool bondage cover. Just another one of these. I love these early Fox Features Syndicate books like Blue Beetle, Mystery Men, Science Comics, and Fantastic Comics are all really cool Joe Simon covers, and just some really cool books. This was a 2.0 that sold, and it sold for $1,400. This is actually down from its previous record, where it sold in July of 2023 for $1,550. So it's down $150 from that prior record. However, I think part of the reason why this book, again, this was another best offer. The original listed price was $1,795, but it was a best offer that they took for the lower amount because there was a 2.5 that just sold recently in September of 2024 for $1,320. So that low sale was kind of maybe leveraged in this case to kind of get the price down a little bit. And I think that's why they took the offer of $1,400. But this is generally probably a $1,500 book, even in a 2.0. I think the person that got the 2.5 got a steal, and other people are getting steals as a result. So kind of an interesting situation. There are 33 of these on the census, and 28 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number 3 on the list is Crime Suspense Stories 20. This is from EC Comics, 1953. It's a classic Johnny Craig cover with the broken neck. The bone is like sticking out. It's like a broken neck with the hanging cover. It's a classic cover. This book was both used in The Seduction of the Innocent, and it was even pictured in The Seduction of the Innocent because it is just so horrific. And it was also mentioned in the Senate hearings. So this book is very important, historically speaking, for the impact it had in, leading to the Comic Code Authority being put into play. This is probably one of the more notorious comics of the Golden Age. And this was a 6.0 that sold, and somebody got a steal on this one. I really think somebody did really well on this book. It was an auction on eBay, and they got it for $2,574, which is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but that was a steal because this book has been hovering around $3,000 for the last 2-3 years. And it's sale after sale has been confirming that $3,000 price range. The previous record was set back in January of 2024 for $3,250. And the most recent sale was slightly lower than that and that was in April of 2024 for $3,120. So this book has been above the 3,000 mark for a while, and somebody just got a steal. I think people just didn't step up in terms of bidding, and somebody got a good price as a result. $2,500 for this book is a really great price. The thing that this book suffers, and the reason it's probably not worth as much as some other pre-code horror books, even considering its notoriety, is the fact that it has a really high census count. There's 333 of these on the census, and 317 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So that high census count really does impact the price that this book gets. Still commands big money, but not quite as much as it could. Number 2 on the list is Batman number 3. This is from DC Comics, 1940. It's a Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson cover, and it's the first Catwoman where she's in costume. It's also the first appearance of the Puppet Master, so a couple cool characters. This is one of those ones where in Batman 1 and 2, they do refer to Selina Kyle as well, she's in there, and then there's all these notes that say the cat, and it's always referring to the cat, never cat woman. In this book, you get the full appearance of Catwoman in costume, and it's the lamest costume, but it is a costume. It's literally wearing a cat mask, like not even a cool cat mask, just a lame cat mask, but it is her in costume. So this is her first appearance, but she is referred to as Catwoman for the first time. So kind of a cool book. This was a 3.0, and it sold for $4,000. Again, another low sale, because the previous record for this book was set back in December of 2022 for $4,800. I mean, since then, though, this book, that was kind of a really high sale, actually, that one that happened in 2022. This book has been hovering at that 4,000 mark for the longest time, actually. Not really much movement on it. It's just been at 4,000. It's a $4,000 book in a 3.0. It's just where it is. Yeah, it is what it is. But I'm not quite sure why there's not that real movement on this book in terms of it going up in value. But yeah, it's just been sitting at a $4,000 mark for the last few years. Yeah, it's just an interesting one. There are 316 of these on the census, and 220 of them are Universal Blue Labels. Number one on the list is Police Comics #1. This is from Quality Comics 1940. It's a Gil Fox cover, and it features a lot of first appearances. It's the first appearance of Plastic Man. It's the first appearance of the Phantom Lady, and Firebrand, and the Human Bomb. So a lot of the Quality characters, so Quality Comics characters, they made their first appearance in this book. And this book also is significant because those characters were later acquired by DC Comics. So they rebranded the characters a little bit, but they are now property of DC Comics, and they could be used in future movies. There was actually an interesting thing where recently, I mean, this is where pre-code meets the current era, or Golden Age meets the current era. There was actually a recent thing within the Superman movie where there was a mural on the wall, and they zoomed in on it and to show all the different characters. There was 21 different characters on it, and one of the characters was Phantom Lady. And so you know, you never know, James Gunn might use Phantom Lady, and this is her first appearance. So kind of a cool book. This was a 3.0 that sold, and it sold for $15,200. This is way up. Way up. The previous record for this book was set back in when was it set? I didn't write down. I think it was set back a couple of years ago. It's 2-3 years ago, like 2022, 2023 era, I think, somewhere around there, for $5,040. So it's up 3 times from that price. However, there was a 1.5 that sold in January of 2025 for $3,840. So you'd expect this one to be around, if you double that, around $8,000. So still significantly up from that. And there was a 3.5 though, and this is why I think that the price did go high. There was a 3.5 that sold for $14,375 in November of 2024. So that really high sale kind of brought everything up. And this 3.0 kind of basically confirms that high sale now. So this is a pretty pricey book. All of a sudden, it's well established as being you know, a $5,000 per point book. It's crazy. So yeah. So a big book now, and it's about time Plastic Man and Phantom Lady get the recognition they deserve. It's actually a fairly hard book to find. There's only 71 of these on the census, and 53 of them are Universal Blue Labels. So that's the list this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments, put it in the comments below. And if you picked up any of these books, congratulations. There's some really awesome books on this list. And thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye for now.